I had a whole nother life of entrepreneurship where I was in a shipping company. We shipped household goods, personal effects, luggage, golf clubs, you name it, all over the world. And we did that for 20 years and then sold the business in 2019. Within a couple days of selling the business, I said to myself, I don't know what's going to be next, but whatever it is, it's going to be something that I'm passionate about. It became clear to me that I wanted to create something to help people in their day-to-day existence just be better. What I'm getting at is just I saw a lot of people not feeling great as they got older and not living their best lives. So I was looking around going, there's got to be a better way. We've got to, these people need some help.
Jeff, give our audience just a little bit of a background of what led you to working on creating this new performance, energy, focus, mood recovery. Like you have a different life, and then you end up kind of moving into this world of creating a performance enhancer that's really all natural. And I want to go into talking product, but I want to make sure that people understand the human and the reasons behind that, because I think it's something that everybody would understand and really appreciate.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. I had a call this morning with a vendor of ours who's doing some different things for us, and he said, "Oh, by the way, I've got a friend of mine who uses a competitor. Like, I don't want to throw him under the bus, so I'll just, it's a competitor." And truly, like, I don't feel like we have many peers, right? Like AG1, everybody knows that, or some of these others. Those aren't competitors because we do different things. I mean, you can use them in concert with each other, and a lot of times have the whole being greater than the sum of the parts. But there's one competitor, I think, and he said, my friend wants to, really, blah, this competitor. And I said, let me just tell your friend this. Like, I can break down Nootropic by Nootropic and all this stuff, but just tell your friend this. I had a subscription to that brand while I was creating MTE. And once I was done, and then I created this brand, and it's like, I'm all in on it. If I didn't create something better than that brand and everything out there in existence, I wouldn't have ever created it. Like what else do you need to know? Right. And so he was like, oh my God, like he that's like the best answer I've ever heard. He was expecting like Nootropic by Nootropic. I was like, no, dude, we created something unbelievably special. And the genesis is it, like, or the genesis of it, to answer your question, is, I had a whole nother life of entrepreneurship where I was in a shipping company. We shipped household goods, personal effects, luggage, golf clubs, you name it, all over the world. And we did that for 20 years and then sold the business in 2019. And like at that point, I kind of felt like I've only really had the feeling twice in my life where I could just do anything I wanted. Right. Like once was like I graduated college and was like, okay, like now what? Right. I can do anything, but what,
Right.
I don't want to screw it up. And then it was the same thing. Like I sold the business. I was like, all right, it's on. Like I can literally go in any direction now, but I don't want to screw it up. And so I remember like within a couple days of selling the business, I said to myself, I don't know what's going to be next, but whatever it is, it's going to be something that I'm passionate about. So I'm going to sit down and really, and I knew my passions. They'd been pretty steady for my whole life. And one of them is health, wellness, and helping people be well, right? Like, starting with myself, and then as I married, and then my two kids, and my immediate family, and then friend group, and as the circle grows. And so as that began to percolate and, turn into a sort of like a roaring boil, if you will, it became clear to me that I wanted to create something to help people in their day-to-day existence just be better. And I looked at the environment we live in today it's like nothing the world has ever seen, right? I mean, like, I feel like this is that pinnacle moment where like the Industrial Revolution really changed the world, right? Where we're like hand picking crops, and then all of a sudden cotton gin, or, and on it went, and then the R's, it just, and then on next thing you know, we're landing on the moon. Like, just turn the world upside down. I think that's how we are with like the handheld devices and the 24-hour, just so much content and information overload, and it's just hammering us all the time. So we're distracted, we're stressed, we sleep less, our ability to focus is constantly compromised. And then that all begins to manifest itself in diet, energy, mood. And so I started to see all these things and thought, I want to help people in that way, right? Instead of creating a gym or a workout class or, a lot of these different things, I wanted to try to create a supplement that wasn't really in existence. I didn't see anything. I was taking a stack of like, I don't know, 20 supplements, well, it was like a little here, a little there, a little bit of this for that. This is for stress, and this is for blood flow, and this is for nitric oxide, and this is for gut health. And I mean, I'm sure we've all been there. I'm sure a lot of people listen to this shaking their heads going, yep, I just took 14 pills and a powder before I walked out the door, and that's kind of how I was. And so that's the beginning of it. And so we started thinking about it and stewing on it. I'll kind of stop and instead of just talking for the next hour, but that was like the beginning of it. And then we started putting a team together and really sharpening the tip of it. And that's ultimately how we came to create and develop MT.
So you found yourself going through this exercise of what do I want to be when I grow up? And what you decided on is I want to be healthy and I want to help other people stay healthy and I want to live my life with purpose, and I want to actually be able to do things. I think a lot of it is as we get older, you start to think of the things you can't do, and the more you focus on what you can't do, the more it brings you down, the less you actually feel good about yourself. I mean, there's actually research out there that says that the older, if you really want to live to an old age, you have to change the way that we think. The more you think you're getting older, the more you think that you're getting less able to do whatever it is, the more you're right. And so it's so much mindset involved in this, but flipping that switch and you changing that over, what are some of the things that you hope to accomplish with this supplement? I mean, we're going to get into what the supplement is, but what were the things? I can read the outside: energy, focus, mood, recovery. I'm holding it up here because I just finished drinking mine right now. And for the listeners, I've been utilizing this for several months. I don't use it every day, but I do use it on a regular basis, especially when I'm traveling and I find myself needing a little extra energy and I don't want to go into another cup of coffee or another espresso or just something that's going to crash me later. So that's I'll go back to the kind of the question, which is, what were some of the things you were hoping to do more of? Like, what did you see as you were planning this out?
So that's a lot. I mean, first of all, I just have to tell you this. I've just been chomping at the bit to tell you this ever since you said it. Your intro reminds me of the Malcolm Gladwell book where, they talk about the birth month and how it's so important, and largely, he wrote an entire book on it, but to dumb it down for me, which is always necessary, what I took away from it was, if you're born earlier in the year, you're usually bigger when you're younger. People equate bigger to better, so you're often chosen first in pickup games, and then you begin to live up to that. And so it's like, yeah, of course I was chosen first because I'm the best one here. When a lot of times it's just an arbitrary, the kids from the neighborhood, they have no idea who they're picking. Just pick the biggest kid. And so like manifesting what others think of you and certainly what you think, that is very, very powerful. So to think you're getting old and focus on that is not good, right? Like I always think about, I mean, first of all, I feel better now than I can ever remember. I turned 50 in, I don't know, 6 months. I'm not going to take the liberty of telling you I look better than I ever have. I'll leave that up, to somebody else, but I feel better than I ever have. And to me, that's so powerful because it's, a lot of it is mental. A lot of it is the lifestyle. And I just feel really lucky to be in that position. But a lot of that comes from the mindset I think that led us to create MT. And so what we hoped to achieve when we launched it was to help people feel good, right? That in a nutshell, in one sentence, that's what it was. We wanted people to feel good. And and it began, I kind of told you about the genesis a little bit, but some side conversations and some nuance. I had friends telling me they were taking energy drinks 2-3 times a day as a supplement just to get through the day. Not situationally, not to go out. They were taking it like a vitamin because they had so much brain fog. So they're so tired they couldn't get through the day. I mean, they were almost like narcoleptic. I mean, one friend of mine, I was like, dude, you need to go see a doctor. I mean, this is like, if you can't even keep your head up past 11 and then again at 2 and then again at 5, I mean, that sounds like a medical condition. Turns out it wasn't. He did go see a doctor, and it was just life for him. And then I had a lot of other friends can't sleep. A lot of them, and the punchline, I guess what I'm getting at is just, I saw a lot of people not feeling great as they got older and not living their best lives. And here I am. I just led with the fact that I feel better than I ever have in my life. And that's not hyperbole. I mean, I truly feel amazing. And so I was looking around going, there's got to be a better way. We've got to, these people need some help. And I want to help myself too, right? Because I always want to feel this way. So, I put an energy component in there, but I didn't want it to be an energy drink because, for a million reasons, not the least of which is you find yourself on a hamster wheel with them. And they do nothing to speak of for productivity, for focus, for performance, certainly for gut health, well-being, sleep at night, recovery, inflammation, none of those things. They do what they do well. They hammer you with a little energy, but you can also get that from coffee. You can get that, it's all over the place. I wanted something to help you feel good holistically, not propped up. There's a number of ways you can quote unquote feel good for a few hours, right? Not the least of which is alcohol, tobacco, drug, right? I mean, not all of them are good. I wanted something that was good, that could really help you not only feel good now, but begin to move towards that feeling, that homeostasis, if you will, of feeling good all the time. You wake up feeling great, and you continue to feel great throughout the day. And then, and roll that into the evening, makes you name it, makes you a better parent, better friend, better employee, better boss, better son, better dad, you name it. And better person to stand next to in line at the deli, like whatever it is, like just makes people happy. When you don't feel good, you're miserable, right? I mean, that's right. We can all relate to that. So anyway, that was the goal. And so that's ironically, that's the first thing we told the formulator. And he, this is the last thing I'll say on this. He was really interesting. So he's one of the preeminent Ayurvedic formulators in the world. And he came and moonlighted for us and helped us. And so he said, so he's formulated what is equated to billions of dollars of sales in supplements and different powders. And he said, I've never, ever gone into a meeting and started with, I want people to feel this way. It's always been, who's the target audience? What's the budget? What's the packaging going to look like? On and on. And ours was like, we want people to feel good. We want to help them be well and feel better. Let's start from there, and then everything else would fall in line. So that's what we did.
So do you think that the clarity like that and the focus on giving versus taking is something that obviously it attracts when you're doing this, right? You have the giving, and you're someone feels it. People know it. Like, they know what you're putting into it, and someone's now moonlighting to basically help you build something better because they believe in your message, right? Do you think that having gone through the grind and the entrepreneurism and developing and building a business, selling that business and having that freedom provided this level of clarity that just said, I want to do things for the right reasons moving forward? Not like you ever did them for the wrong, but did you feel like you were just clearer than ever after you got to this spot, and it just made it easier to attract people?
Yeah, 100%. Like unequivocally, that's the case. I mean, first of all, that's the reason I sold the business. My wife and I are both entrepreneurs. She sold her business and rounded up all her friends and wanted to go party and celebrate, which is the proper response, right? I sold my business and went and slept for 2 days out of like exhaustion and nervous breakdown, right? Like that is not the proper response. I mean, and so I remember thinking, never again. Like I've had this success and this is awesome, but it's got to be a passion project. It's got to be something that's helping people. I got to be putting good into the world. Not that I was selling cigarettes before. I mean, we had a great business and all was good, but I didn't really feel like it was changing people's lives to the good outside of like saving you some time at the airport, or just like a marked
Yeah.
departure from like your health and well-being, right? So yeah, absolutely. And then as we start to put that in the world, I think people just respond to that and they love the message and they love, I think they love what we're doing and they know it's coming from a place of service almost, if you will.
Yeah, I completely relate to it, and I've never been one of the people. I should say I have always struggled with celebrating the wins before I'm ready to move on to the next, and it's because I've learned I've had to fall in love with the process more than the result. And that's something that took 40 years for me almost to figure out. It wasn't like so simple. I knew it in the last, from 35 to 40, but I wasn't practicing it in the same way that I started to. And then you start to really evaluate your options and say, I can keep going like this and this is good and it's going to be fine, but I'm probably going to end up dead. I'm going to be tired. I'm never going to be all of what I want to be. And so you do have that clarity that kind of comes where you're like, I know exactly why I'm doing it, who I'm doing it for, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try to enjoy the process more than the result. I remember we won a Small Business of the Year award locally in a pretty big city with a couple 100,000 people. And I pulled into the parking lot and I realized I hadn't invited anyone in my family. I hadn't told my mom, my wife, my kids, like zero. I only invited our company to go out and celebrate in it. I was so focused. Like it was like, oh, okay. By the time we won that award, I was already working on national things. So in my brain, I'm not, it's like, okay, great. Celebrate, have lunch, move on. And I sat in my car and I remember, I think I left my mom a voice message and I was like, I should have invited you to this. I just wanted to tell you about it. I didn't even tell you about it. And I'm embarrassed that I'm not celebrating the things that are happening in my life that matter. And this is relatively, short time ago. It's not like it's something that once you realize you have to keep practicing is the point. So, and it's crazy how valuable that is, but it's like a major shift in life and how much better it becomes when you shift it.
I can relate to that in a big way. I also find that, I mean, I think most people have heard the saying, it's the journey, not the destination. But I think once you hear something so often, you just begin to dismiss it. And I think if you really sit down and it just put 20 seconds of thought into that, I mean, it's so true, right? I mean, to your point, I look at different things, whether it's a business or whatever, it's a long line, with every line being a point in time. And at the very end is the destination. And so, when you look at it that way, I'm a visual person. So I look at it that way and somebody says, all you're going to focus on is that very, very one dot at the tip. And all those other dots that made the whole line, you're just going to ignore, staring at that one end dot. I'm like, well, who would do that? That's idiotic, right? I mean, you clearly should be looking at the big line and not the end dot. And we all fall into the trap of doing just the opposite. So I've been trying to enjoy it, which has made it more enjoyable. That's like, it's
It's so
stopping
easy.
and, it's because I'm impatient. I want to grow the business. I want the world to know about this and then I stop and realize it's also got to be fun, right? I mean, or it should be. And so that's, Yeah, I mean, I don't know how we got on this subject, but it's a
Well,
huge
it's what this show's about. It's about the ancillary things. So like the key is I think everybody goes through these things and we all have to remind ourselves that those scatter plots of life are actually adding up to the end point that we're working towards. And it's only at the end when you look at back at it, whether it's a goal, an accomplishment, whatever it is, that you see they all lined up towards the goal. Even the things you don't think have anything to do with it. And I think what we were getting at is, and what I was interested in is the why behind creating something that attracts so many great people and so many great things. And when you truly are creating something better and you enjoy the ride, it's only going to be a better result in the end, and you'll actually appreciate it. I mean, quite frankly, your wife celebrating with her friends is something that I uh, am definitely envious of, because when you do that, it's like watching. I think the turning point for me was listening to athletes. I have interviewed lots of athletes, lots of professional athletes in lots of sports. I've had lots of conversations and several friends that have played at the highest level of their sports. And the ones that are most successful love practice more than they love the games. And that's the most interesting thing. And so when you find in business the people that love practice more than they love the game, they're the ones that are going to be the most successful because they fall in love with that process. And so tell me about the process. Tell me about, let our, just define for our listeners, readers, I mean, however you listen to this, maybe it's Braille, I don't know. But for anybody listening to this, adaptogens and nootropics, walk everybody through what that means, and then some of the things that make up MTE,
Yeah.
so that people understand what we're talking about here.
So we're 11 adaptogens and nootropics and superfoods, and so adaptogens have their origin from the Russian Cold War space and athletic program, where they were doing everything they could to find an edge, and they get their name from helping. Their purpose is to help your body adapt to stress. So adaptogens adapt to stress. That's physical and mental. And it's really meant to, when you can adapt to stress, you can take on more, you can push harder and further, and that was the genesis of adaptogens. There's a lot of argument on how many there are, but generally the number's 18 to 20 in the world that are real adaptogenic, that fit all the, tick all the boxes. And adaptogens are dynamic in that they're helping you adapt, so they can rev you up, they can rev you down. If you're, it's not like our energy drink reference earlier, where it's like you're getting a stimulant whether or not you like it, right? Like adaptogens help you adapt up, down, sideways, you name it. And in modern, obviously Cold War's over, and now in modern society, I love adaptogens because a lot of the stress that we go through is not self-imposed, right? It's just the environment in which we live, right? Whether it's, I mean, all of us have phones now, and the push alerts and all those things are mini stressors. The blue light at night, all these types of things stress us. 24-hour news cycle, you name it. And there's a lot more pressure than ever. I mean, it's like inexplicably, not getting enough sleep is like a badge of honor now somehow. I will never understand that, but it's like I work harder. I only get 4 hours of sleep last night, and I'm like, who's winning? I mean, that doesn't sound good at all. So that's
You're just dying
adaptogen.
quicker. All you're doing is dying quicker when you do that. That's all
I
you're doing.
know. And a lot of studies are coming out too that your productivity almost grinds to nothing. So you can be sitting there on your 20th hour of work and you're getting virtually nothing done, outside of just depriving yourself of sleep at that point. So that's adaptogens. They can also help with mood, and because they're revenue up, revenue down, they can help you sleep better. So they're very dynamic. We have 4 of them in our formula, to varying degrees. I think probably the most, and all adaptogens are not equal. They're not all the same, right? Like there's some mushroom adaptogens people find can be a little bit energizing, which can have some issues. Some people seek them out. It's on it goes. I think the most famous adaptogen is probably ashwagandha. I think a lot of people are familiar with ashwagandha. So that's adaptogens. Nootropics are meant for cognition and your brain, and to boost your brain, right? So that's going to give you greater ability to focus, greater ability to pay attention, maintain performance, cognition, blood flow to the brain sometimes is a byproduct. Um, Anything related to the brain. So we have a few new nootropics in there, and like the world's most famous nootropic is caffeine. So that's considered a nootropic. But our new formula, the one you held up earlier, is caffeine free. So we drive that with a derivative of caffeine that's a downstream metabolite, actually. So what's nice about that is you don't get any of the pitfalls of caffeine, like insomnia, jitters, crash, the anxiety that some people get from caffeine. All those things are rendered moot by using a downstream metabolite of caffeine, which is an awesome nootropic we use, because you're still getting all of these incredible benefits. Like I said, it's enhancing your ability to pay attention. It's preventing mental fatigue after exercise. It's even allowing for better short-term memory. Among many others, and it's a wildly dynamic product, and nootropics are just so dynamic in that regard. So we stacked all these, 11 in total, and you're getting about 8 benefits to well-being. I mean, you named the big four that we put on the box, and then there's derivatives off. So their recovery in particular, but also focus. Focus for us means productivity and the ability to perform. Recovery means a lot of things to us, like gut health, which we have from a superfood that we use, chicory root. Recovery also clearly number one, better sleep at night. So you're getting clinically studied better sleep support from saffron that we use. And it's paradoxical. A lot of people are like, wait a minute, how can this be energizing and help support better sleep? And I think that therein lies the real benefit of MTE, and the real secret is it's not an energy drink that's just, that hammer of stimulation. It's for your whole system. So it's revving you up through like more natural ways of like adaptogens and nootropics, not caffeine nootropics, other nootropics, and then helping support the body in other ways with, like the gut health, the sleep, the mood, these things that help you take care of your body and help your body, frankly, take care of itself. I mean, that's the other thing that I think a lot of people miss out on. I certainly did. It kind of speaks to our discussion earlier, I think, a little bit in terms of misguiding viewpoints. The body is an unbelievable tool if you just kind of help give it some tailwind here or there, and also just get out of the way sometimes, which isn't, it's probably a controversial viewpoint from a guy who manufactured and owns a supplement. But, that's why our supplement is a light touch. We hear people sometimes, they're like, I don't feel any energy from this. I stopped my 6 can a day habit, and I took an MT, and I don't feel the same. And we're like, you don't say. It's like, it's a little different is what we've put together.
Yeah, I feel like people have a tendency to I'll use a car reference. They run their battery completely dead, then they jump start it and they run it, but they don't run it long enough for it to actually get going again, and then they have to jump start it again. And what happens is you kind of get into this problem area where you're constantly jump starting it. To the people that do the energy drinks and all those other things, the way you're describing MTE to me is, if I think of it again as a performance vehicle, it's a boost to performance vehicle. It means a performance vehicle is going to run smooth at 150, 200 miles an hour, but it's also going to run smooth at 25 miles an hour when it's at an idle or a rest. And so you're talking about a total enhancement of the body, not just a boost of energy for a moment. And I think the other thing, so what would be good for people listening is, let's say they wanted to try this. How do you use it? How, you helped create this as from the ground up. You've been with the team from the beginning. You developed it. It's your product. How are you using it, and how is it recommended people use? Is it something that they should be using instead of some coffee in the morning? Is it something you use multiple times a day? Walk our listeners through that process.
Yeah. I was just writing down your comment, the total enhancement of the body, not just an energy boost. That's fantastic. I love that.
It felt good coming out. It
And
felt good coming
it
out. I'm
felt
not going
good
to lie.
hearing it.
When I said it, I was like, inside, I was like, that's
Yeah.
really good. That's a
Yeah.
good ad. That sounds good.
That's a good soundbite. You nailed that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, I'm already sitting here thinking about getting that over to my editor. Like, cut that out. We got to cut that into that's fantastic. Um,
If you want me to shoot an ad in one of the Porsches or something that you guys like sponsor, I'm happy to hop in, drive it, and just be like, it's a total enhancment of the body, or whatever
dude,
I said.
by the way, those
what it was.
things, they will bolt in a passenger seat if you want. Like, for anybody who doesn't know, we sponsor a car in the North America Porsche Carrera Cup. And so, the guy who drives it is like total stud. I love this guy and I love his family. And so, I go to as many races as I can, just for no other reason than just support and just wish him well. Um, and I don't know what else. 'Cause I'm just thinking, like, I'm not even a huge racing fan. I'm more of a fan. Reminds me of, like, sometimes when you invest in brands, you invest in founder, not the idea. Like, this is kind of like I invested in them, not racing. But anyway, they'll bolt in a passenger seat in that thing and take you on a track. And I'm like, dude, I'm good. I am good. I don't want no part. Like, I can't even ride in the car with, like, my wife driving, never mind a guy like ripping a few G's around a turn. I would lose it. Um, anyway, to answer your question, I use it. So we built it. The most important thing to me was that it could continue to help you be well. To your point earlier, we did not want to be a jump start of anybody in any way, and then have them just continually petering out and need a new jump start. I mean, that's the method. I mean, that's energy drinks have been doing that for 30, 50 years. We wanted a full system. So I use it every day. I use it as like a daily wellness stack, right? For focus and productivity. I've never needed, I mean, a couple of things you should know about me is, like, I sleep 9 hours a night like a baby. I've never had any issue sleeping, and I've never had, probably because of that, I've never had any issues or energy issues, excuse me, like, ever. I'm never lethargic, or, if I'm tired, it's because I did, I worked out too hard, or I didn't get enough sleep, whatever. So I built MTE, we've talked about that ad nauseam, but I built it to be more than anything a wellness stack, right? So something that's going to help me be better. And what I always equated it to, and this is a slippery slope, I'm in no way comparing myself to an Olympic athlete, just to be clear. But the analogy is, like, Olympians, finest, the finest tuned athletes in the world, arguably, all use supplements, right? So, it's not just to bring you from suboptimal just to be able to get out of bed. A lot of people are, let me go from good to great. Let me go from great to world class. And that's kind of what I wanted to do, wherever you put me on there, just in terms of feeling. I feel great. I want to feel even better. I want to have more energy. I want to have more ability to focus. I can sit here and bang out high level work for 2 hours. I want it to be 4 hours, or whatever it is. So I take it every day. When it varies. I love the taste of coffee. So I have a Americano. So I don't know. I try not to drink one every day because I find it rots my gut. But, I'll have 3-4 times a week. So it's not like I've replaced caffeine with it totally. It's more of like, I take it sometimes between 10 to 2. Right. And, a lot of times when I feel like I'm a little hungry in the morning, I'm going to go chug a glass of water anyway, pop MT in it, and I get, double the dosage. The other thing that I find it great for is pre-workout, right? Like not, again, a lot of the pre-workouts out there are like melt your face. You can barely hold on to the bar. You have so many jitters.
I took it one
Yeah.
time. I took it one time as like a 23-year-old,
Yeah.
22-year-old, and I was
Yeah.
jacked. Like I didn't sleep at all that
Yeah.
night. I was completely. First of all, I'm a high energy as it is. Everybody that listens to this
Yeah.
show knows, but I do not need
That's,
pre-workout, nor will I ever take it again.
dude, those things, I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital when I took one. I was like,
Yeah,
it was not fun. Um, so yeah, I take it more of like, when I say pre-workout, like pickup soccer game, tennis match, pickleball.
yeah,
Pickleball is huge. Like a lot of professional pickleball users, and I think there's a reason for that, right? Like you're moving your body, but you also
it's brain and body.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's a chess match on the move, while your heart rate's at above aerobic, and it comes in really handy, and it's the cognition when I'm doing that is I find it's always giving me an edge, and I notice when I don't take it. I'll go out. I have a guy, I mean, this is like so unscientific, it's comical, but I have a guy I play tennis with who's like, we're like mirror images of each other, and it's a coin toss who's going to win. He's never beat me if I had MT in me before a match. I mean, it just could, maybe it's placebo. I don't know. I mean, truly, I don't know. But, at this point, I take it. I feel like I'm bulletproof, against this guy. But I, the root of that thinking though was I am clearer, I am calmer, I'm less fatigued, and on it goes. So I love doing it before that some type of performance. My wife replaced her afternoon coffee with it. So she still did her morning coffee, but didn't want one in the afternoon. A lot of people are taking it with the electrolyte powders, a greens powder, because this is more, greens powder is basically replacing things that you're not getting in your diet, right? Or giving you more of it. This
right,
is nothing in MTE. It comes from food. So these are, this is more of the mind, the nootropics, the adaptogens. Like people aren't eating ashwagandha as a side dish, right? I mean, it's something you're only supplementing with. And that's
right.
what MTE is made up of. L-theanine comes from green tea leaves, but you're not boiling down green tea and and filtering out L-theanine as something in your diet, right? Especially a Western diet. So we're more of that performance enhancing, and then I have other friends who like take it at work, right? Like situation, kind of what I heard from you. They didn't take it every day, but they'll take it between the weekends when they need to grind at work. So, there's really no wrong answer, but I will tell you this. Many of the benefits accumulate with regular use. So there are some things that are one and done, um, but largely the formula is meant to accumulate and grow with you and help you continue to grow and feel good. Going back to the origin statement is just feeling good.
Well, you guys sent it to me right when we first met. I know that you and Scott listened to an episode of the High Performance Life. Dr. Gundry was on it, who you guys really like and has been someone that you followed for a long time. And so I got to test this out. I did it for 30 something days. And what happened is I started to travel. And then I mentioned to Scott, one of your counterparts that I've gotten friendly with. And Scott was like, dude, we have packets, man. Have you ever actually gone to the site and looked? And I said, no, I've never gone to the site and looked. I just scoop it in. And when I'm traveling, I was carrying it with me, but it was really annoying to carry with me because it's like, it's bouncing around. It's going, the baggie that I had it in was like all filled with just sticky. Like it was bad. And he goes, so he sent me a couple packets as tests. And that's how my son started taking it. I had a couple of the packets left, and he was like, "Hey, can I start taking this?" And he started popping it, and so I did do it for the extended period of time. And definitely I used it to replace my afternoon coffee, because I still love coffee. I drink coffee every morning, and it's kind of a ritual sort of thing now. And I get so used to my rituals that I have to kind of like maintain certain aspects of them. In fact, the afternoon coffee is a challenge too, because sometimes when there's nothing else that's like exciting in the afternoon, that's that one thing that I'm like, well, it's not that bad for me, but it does kind of make me excited. I'm going to make myself a coffee. I feel like I'm doing something that's good for me and not good for me at the same time. And I don't know what it is about that. It's almost like that old school when I was a kid. I wanted a treat after every dinner, and I wanted something sweet. And I've learned that I need something bad to justify all the good that I do every day as far as like food. And so anyway, I used it that way, and I definitely found it to be valuable. It's cleansing. There's some clarity. And I sleep better when I'm not taking that afternoon coffee, regardless. I wear the Whoop, and I've been wearing it for, since 2019. I have a lot of data. And so it's good to just track these things. My son said to me, he's been wearing the Whoop now for like 3 weeks. And he came up to me the other day and he goes, Dad, it seems like no matter what you do, the most important thing you need is sleep. This is like shocking to everybody, I know. But when you wear the Whoop, like the one thing that you can kind of counterbalance all the negativity if you're just sleeping enough and resting enough for your body to recoup. To your point, letting the body just kind of do its thing.
100%. I think the problem is right now, a lot of people get so high strung and have so much going on in their lives, they can't sleep. A lot of people want to sleep. I mean, it's not, to me, it's not this notion of people being irresponsible well into the early morning. Clearly that happens, or, we've all binged Netflix here or there. I mean, that happens. But I think a lot of times people can't sleep. They're riddled with anxiety or worry, or they're just so amped from the day, or you name it. And all of a sudden, it's that accumulates. It's not as if you're sleeping 8 hours and all of a sudden you slept 2 last night. I mean, that's obviously extreme, but a lot of times it's, well, now it's 7.5 hours, or now it's going to be 7 hours. And then, it just chips away at you. And next thing you know, a year from now, a week from now, whatever it is, you don't feel as good. And then what happens? Well, I mean, without going into science class, when you're tired, your body releases the hormone that tells you it's full, more, with a lot more stinginess. So now you're hungrier, you're eating more. And then, now we're snowballing into weight management and then, lethargy.
Now I'm fat and tired. That's what's happened. I've gotten fat and tired from not sleeping, and it's no good. It builds on itself. It's the wrong kind of stacking. We're talking about using MTE to stack, but adding it as a good stack to your day and an add-on, not something that's negative. And to your point, it adds up, and you recognize it. I've seen multiple. I can actually go back in years and see the months of my life where I'm busiest, or when I'm traveling the most, or it's crazy how that works.
It is crazy, and it's like, and that's not going away. I mean, it's just going to get worse and worse, right? I mean, like, I'm telling you, the other day, I try to like decouple from my phone a lot. Like, I will go stretches of days without my phone. It's awesome. I mean, it's so liberating. I'll leave it wherever I need to leave it, and I'll go check it just to make sure the world isn't, blowing up like once a day, right? Like, right, at dinner time, I'll go return text, anything urgent, whatever. And what's funny is a lot of times you come back, first of all, it's shocking. It's shocking. You come back and you're like, oh my, I had 82 missed text messages. Like, what happened? I don't get 82 text messages a day. Yeah, you do. You just don't, it just happens. You just like ding, ding, 2 here, 1 there, 5, and you don't really know. It's just these constant interruptions. And that's just text messages. That's before push notifications or get the emails.
Emails.
Oh my God. That's, forget how many emails you check. Just having that decoupling from that is unbelievable. I love it. So, but I wanted to get, so I was like, man, I wanted this got to be my life. I'm going to get a flip phone. And then as I was telling my wife that, she's like, did you check in for the flight tomorrow? I was like, ah, crap. Here I'm back. Right. I mean, it's just,
Yeah. I mean, you can't even log into a bank account
right. That's right.
without having a phone that could do the actions. You know what? There is some truth to having more freedom because of your phone if you control it. So the reality is I can go anywhere in the world right now and work from anywhere at any time. I can FaceTime, I can be on appointments, I could do anything with just my phone. That was never I was bound to an office for, 15 years of my career. And for the most part, I mean, at least having to be back and forth. And this has allowed for freedom in the last decade or so that's just immense. But to your point, there's an extreme information overload. So the one thing that's challenging, you talk about a number of texts. How about there's a presidential candidate assassination, and then a sitting president stepping down from running, it all within like a week of each other. And like every single friend you have is sending a text and then liking it and hearting it. And I mean, I turned mine off for like a couple of hours the other day, and I had 80, 90 texts back and forth about all the craziness that was going on. That's one thing. Then you add FOMO to that. So for those people, like I've always been, I like a good something that's going on. If it's going to be if you're talking about a show that like everybody has to watch, I'm like, oh man, I really should try. And I don't even watch TV that much, but now I'm thinking I should try. And or maybe it's just going out with some friends. My buddy's in town and he's like, dude, I'm only in town for one night. And I always say yes. I'm a yes person. My wife is great at being a no person. I am a yes person. So if you put us together, we say yes like 65% of the time. And so I try to do that. But the point is the FOMO kills you too, because you're so ready to, like, there's so much you could do. I mean, there's times I go to bed and I'm like, okay, gosh, I have so much to get done in the morning. I'm excited about waking up before I even go to bed, because and it's not because I feel like dread, I have stuff to do. It's because I'm excited about what's going to happen the next day. So I think that we have more and more distractions. If you think about just 25, 30 years ago, I was bored a lot. We were bored a lot. And there's never time for boredom anymore. So mental clarity, focus, having the ability to be physically and mentally more attuned is going to be something that we see moving forward. Jeff, tell me what's next for MTE. What's next for you? What's next for your team? Like, what do you guys see happening over the next year? Like, how are you getting this out? What kind of traction are you seeing? Give our listeners a chance to understand where you see it going. And then I want to make sure we take some time to tell them how to get it, how to find it.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. I know I keep doing this, but like,
go
it's
for
because
it.
you and I will sit here and riff for like first time we met. Remember when Scott was like,
I
we're gonna have a
remember.
call, and then you and I had like a 3-hour conversation, and Scott was like, all right, I gotta go.
I remember you were sitting in the car and we were talking about soccer practice, and you were at a practice or something, and you were like, dude, I'm sitting in my car and I feel like I could be getting some other stuff done. I was like, my kids are getting older and I have nothing to do. I don't go to practice with them anymore. They don't want me. I miss these days. Dude, walk out of your car and go watch the practice.
Yeah.
I remember exactly what we talked
Dude,
about.
it was awesome. We played so my daughter, I told you, just got back from volleyball camp. We played an hour of volleyball. Like she's got done playing 2 weeks of like nothing but volleyball, and she's like, let's go play volleyball. I was like, I'm in. So I wanted to tell you two things. Number one, we talked about all these ways of phone, distract, everything else, and we haven't even mentioned social media. I mean, that's a whole up, right? I mean, that's insane. And then also, you said 25 years plus ago we would be bored a lot. 100%. Can you imagine going back into the 90s or God forbid the 80s and saying, hey, we're gonna we have a supplement for you. It's gonna help you focus. And everybody would be like, focus on what, dude? Like we're on what? But now it's just everybody's just going crazy, right? It's so helpful. Um, so yeah, that what's next for us? We just launched our what we call everyday. That's been out about a month now. We are really, really excited about it. People are loving it. It's picking up a ton of traction because people are now understanding, oh, this isn't an energy drink. If I want an energy drink, that's somewhere else. This is a wellness stack for productivity, well-being, focus. Once people began and the light bulb went off in the collective conscious where people understood the value proposition and how it's different than everything out there, we started, and you could feel the shift where we started getting early on. We'd be like, how do you compare to this? How do you compare to that? And you could kind of see people, that was people just trying to triangulate what this was. What have you made? How does it compare? And then we started tweaking the messaging, and now people are really understanding the value prop, how it's different, and the adoption has been significant. Our repeat customer rate before this new product was just about industry average, and now we're up like 15 points, so 15 percentage points. And we're still early. I mean, I'd say we're probably going to climb another 5-8% as like people like you who aren't using it every single day, but you're using it with some regularity, you'll repeat a little slower. So, I mean, I think we're going to have a repeat customer rate, like it could be as close to 60% soon, which is going to be, I
Well, I
mean,
probably would have used it every day had I known that these existed earlier. I think the problem was it was all about convenience for
yeah,
me. And it's why I use Viome. It's why I take that my vitamins were Viome because they come in a prepackaged
yeah.
container and I can pop them in my bag wherever I go. If I'm going to be gone for 6 days, I have them with me at all times. It's to me, it's about convenience and discipline
Yeah.
and like consistency. And when I miss that, it throws me off. So I think people will start to see the value in it and use it more often.
Yeah.
And the more consistently they use it, the more they'll be dependent in a positive way on the enhancement.
I think you're right. That's why I use it every day because for me, I'm habitual too. I don't want to fall out of practice, and I think it's habits a lot of times get a bad rap, but there's because a lot of times like I have the bad habit of this or that, but on the other end of the spectrum, you have good habits are what define you. I think for me, at least for me. So the habit of getting enough sleep or the habit of taking this supplement every morning or on it goes. So I try to make it habitual, and stay on the rails, if you will. And it's I feel like I said, I feel better than ever. Um, so yeah, I mean that's really what's next is we're going to build awareness. I think eventually coming down the pipe, we're going to want to do an RTD, which is you know uh, industry speak for ready to drink. So something in a can. The formula I think would be a little different in a can. So we're not in a hurry to do that right now. We really love just building the brand, spreading the message to our talk earlier, just trying to enjoy the process and enjoy having these conversations. I love talking about it. I would do it all day, to anyone, anywhere. I just because it's like, how could you not enjoy it, right? I mean, it's my passion project. I feel like it's my this was like my destiny is to do this. I'm so happy doing it. I love it, and I love what it's doing for people. And some of the I'm telling you, anytime you ever get even the slightest bit discouraged, we'll get somebody who emails us, and just some of these stories that we hear are unbelievable. I mean, the way that MTE is changing people's lives. Obviously, these are outlined. Most people, it's down the fairway. It's helping improve your life in some way or another, making you more focused or helping you feel better. But some of these outline examples of people that have MS and it's robbed them of their energy and they didn't, and the energy drinks just make it worse. But this has helped them regain their ability to golf. One guy hasn't golfed in 5 years because it sapped him of his energy, and he was writing us from the parking lot, I think. Like, for me, it was so moving, not only like the fact that it actually happened, but that he was so moved by what an MTE had done for him that he wanted to write us and make sure we knew about it. I mean, just stuff like that is like, man, that will overcome any discouraging thoughts that creep into your head. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and anytime you're creating something new, it's challenging. I think one of the things that you get used to as an entrepreneur is you're going to get burned, you're going to get punched in the face, you're going to get beat up a little bit,
Yeah.
but you keep getting up, and every day you get up, it gets a little better, and that you start to recognize where the punches are coming from, where the burns are going to happen,
Yeah.
and the more you recognize that, it's more successful. And in a new industry, you have to learn the new ways, you have to learn the new things, you have to, and
Yeah.
that's part of the fun, though. I mean, that's part of the passion project. That's why it feels like a destiny. And you have freedom. You're able to do what you want. You're able to turn the phone off for a couple of days. Like you are creating something great, but you're also living your life. And that's really what it comes down to. Otherwise, you'd be completely imbalanced and a total wreck and needing this just to stay off the off of the crazy train,
Mm-hmm.
which people do get on. And you know, I'm interested to see all the good things that come. I'm definitely along for the ride. I'm looking forward to continuing to learn more about the story and watching the progression. And people can grab it at getmte.com. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, we sell D2C right now. Getmt.com. We'll be at getmt.com. We're gonna do. We have a lot of good things coming, but for the time being, D2C exclusively.
And follow them on Instagram. Now, I followed your
Mhm.
wife to actually learn about your life. That helped me understand more for the interview, so I was prepared. But the following you on Get MTE got me enough of the business stuff. But I had to, in order to follow life, I had to actually follow your wife, which was honestly a lot more entertaining. But still, it was
I've no doubt.
in a positive way. Your trip to Spain looked amazing.
Oh, we
So
had a great time.
yeah, it looked awesome. I went to Madrid and
Uh-huh.
Sevilla about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I saw
Mhm.
El Clasico, Real Madrid play Barcelona, and just phenomenal trips. So Spain's a great place, and
Dude, you know what you'll like? So this is, I mean, I know this is going to make me sound absolutely insane, but we already booked our trip next summer. What we do a lot of times, we'll just book the flight over, and then we'll just kind of figure out what we're going to do and fly
Okay.
home. But I always want to get the flight in because there's this airline I like to fly, and I'll spare you. But as I was looking through it, we land in Frankfurt May 31st, and the Champions League finals in Munich that night. So we've already booked it. We're going to Munich for the final. I mean, clearly we have no idea who's playing or anything else, but we're just going to go. Just want to experience it.
So in order to book your ticket, you gotta try to find a way to get a ticket, and which is going to be difficult, right? But the credit card companies surprisingly have good connectivity. They usually have these like special VIP programs, and that's how we ended up getting El Clasico tickets like weeks before. We ended up getting them maybe a week or two before, and I won't say what we paid for them, but they were well worth the experience. And I just went to Italy in April and saw AC Milan play Inter Milan in their and Inter won the championship that day. So it was all they had to do was win, and they had won the season, which was unreal. I mean, the stadium was unreal. So for anybody that has not been to a professional soccer match overseas, like, it is a must happen.
Yeah, I went to the World Cup in Germany in 2000. What was that? 2004. That was awesome. Like, unbelievable. I can't wait for it to be back here. Although, dude, I'm so discouraged from that Copa showing. I mean, losing.
Yeah, but it's run by South America. It's run by CONMEBOL or whatever it is, and so it's not really run by the U.S. So we had limited ability to change things, and
Yeah.
down to
Oh no, I'm
sure.
talking about the U.S. result though. Just the way we
Oh,
played. Oh my God.
Well, we're gonna have a new coach now, so maybe it's gonna be a new result. I'm staying optimistic. We have a lot of great talent. Probably some of the best young talent I've seen are under 21s, are under like 17, whatever the different age groups are smoking it. And they're beating people internationally all over the world, in Europe, in the most impactful regions in the world in soccer. So we're doing the right things finally. We just, sometimes, I remember Patrick McEnroe said, they asked him if his son would be a pro, and he was like, dude, that kid's never going to be a pro because he's not starving. I was trying to get out and eat for a living, and this guy has been eating more than I dreamed of my whole life. Like the problem in the U.S. is we don't focus enough on winning, and we don't need to win. All these other places, they have a hunger. England struggles with the same thing. They have this enabled mentality. They're not hungry enough. They don't play where they leave it all on the field. And that's a hard thing in our country right now. There's definitely, I think that's the difference. We're not missing the quality. We're not missing the training, the technical ability. We're missing, do you want to win more than that other player across from you? And are you willing to put in what it takes to get there? And so maybe all they're missing, watch how I close this out, guys. Maybe all they're missing is MTE. Maybe that's all they're missing.
Well, I love it. I love it. A couple of them are trying it this summer. I can't say their names yet, but a couple of them are trying it this summer before they get into camp to see if they want to put it in their routine. So we're super excited about that.
Well, I hopefully have a future U.S. national team player in out of my two boys in my house, and one of them's using it every day right now. So we'll see where that ends up, and then he could say he was using it before all of them.
Yeah, I'm here for that. I love it.
Jeff, I'm super stoked to have you on, man. Thanks for being a part of the show. GetMTE.com. Follow him on Instagram. Go out there and try it out and see if you get more energy, focus, mood, and recovery.
Oh, what a legend. I love it. Thanks so much for having me. This is fun. I love hanging out and chatting with you. This is cool.
Thanks, dude. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you liked it, there's more where this one came from. Click here and enjoy some more.